What's up guys, this is Wenzes. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about personal development for INFJs and how to create an epic life on your terms. Today we're talking about 3 remedies that will help you to get out of INFJ burnout. Because INFJ burnout is not like the typical burnout you see on TV, which looks like being a workaholic or just keep doing and being busy when in the end you're not moving forward. The results may be similar, but in the end for us, it all starts with mindset. Before we get started, I want to remind you the boot camp is open for a couple more days. So our first session starts July 11 and you can sign up after that. So use that time, you find all the information below. So let's first talk about how INFJ burnout looks like. Most of the time it comes down to overthinking. It comes down to going down a path that is not good for us and that is depleting our energy. For people like us, for whom introverted intuition is our dominant function, you will notice that it all starts with mindset. Yes, there are people who can create amazing things while focusing on their actions. And you know how big of an advocate I am for that, even for us INFJs. But even if I always keep telling you it's all about action, we always do it in an inspired way. It's inspired action because we have a vision of where we want to go and then we take action. But the one thing that takes up all of our energy and that really depletes us is overthinking situations that we cannot change. We put ourselves in situations where we're out of control, we feel like we're a victim to the circumstance, and we don't even know how it all happened. We have all experienced it, and today I want to talk to you about the 3 ways that really will change your life. They will help you to get out of those burnouts. I mean, those burnout moments, they happen over and over again. That's not something I think we can bypass forever or that we'll never experience it again, but those moments get smaller. The consequences of those moments get smaller because we become aware of them. The biggest remedy is always being aware of what's going on. And that's where we start with remedy number 1. Be aware and accept your shortcomings. And in particular, I want you to accept your weak extroverted sensing, your lost function, so SE. Why is that? Well, there are 2 camps here when it comes to INFJs. It's the ones who don't want to admit it to themselves. So there's this thing of actually my SE is very strong. And we feel that in a lot of ways when we feel like if I would leash out, it will come out so harsh. It will be so devastating to the other person. That is our thought of SE. And yes, it can be strong, but the problem with this is it's not something that we can do forever. It's something that can be very precise. We can hit exactly where we need to hit. But the reason why we're able to do that is because our vision is so strong. We have created such a great map of the other person that we know exactly where we would be able to hit with our words, with our actions, so that person would suffer. And we ourselves are very afraid of this because we don't want the other person to suffer so much because we know exactly where to hit. But don't mistake this with strong extroverted sensing. It is still something that we can maybe let out once. It's very strong, and then after a while it just goes down. You see it in everyday situations. So let's say you go to a party and you want to dance. I've seen this with so many INFJs and I've seen it with myself as well. I can be the life of the party for 30 minutes. I have all this energy. I encourage and I influence people so much, but after this half an hour, I just want to sit down and relax. Like, this is not something we can hold on to. So one of the camps in the INFJ world believes that our extroverted sensing is stronger than it is. Accept the fact that there's just so much you can do and that this is okay. We cannot be able to start loving ourselves and act in ways that are beneficial for us and that help us to move forward in a positive way where we don't burn out unless we accept that. Because otherwise, we're always going to feel, oh, actually it's stronger, I need to do more. And in the back of our mind, there'll always be this feeling of it's not good enough, it's not good enough. And so you keep putting yourself in situations to prove to yourself that you're good enough, that you have enough power, when in the end, this is probably not the most beneficial strategy in using your limited capacity of extroverted sensing. Then we have the other camp that says, I don't have any extroverted sensing. There's no way I could ever achieve what I want in life. I have to be the helper. I have to be the consultant. I have to be the one who helps somebody else achieve their dreams, and then through that I'll get something out of it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love to help people, and being a consultant and having this in the back of your mind that you know how other people think and how you can help them is a great thing. But that doesn't mean that you neglect your own dreams though. It really is a difference. As I said, right now I'm a consultant, I help people, but I have my vision and I'm going towards it using my extroverted sensing. So I have accepted that that my extroverted sensing is there. I have to be the one who takes charge of it, because if I don't, I'll always live in other people's dreams. I'll help them achieve their dreams, but in the end, it will never ever help me to get to where I want. It might improve a situation for a little while, but you'll always get to a point where the other person will go into that direction, and at some point that direction will not be yours. I say this very often, that we can coexist so beautifully with so many people, and they can go their direction and you can go your direction. But unless you're the one who sets the tone and says, this is where I'm going to go, it's not going to work out. So how does this apply to burnout? Well, on the one hand, if you don't tap into your own extroverted sensing, you're not creating more and more energy for yourself. You're focusing on improving something within a system that more and more gets away from your own vision, and with that, you lose energy. You cannot keep on giving to somebody else more and more of your energy if you don't put the first emphasis on you. If you do this, your cup of energy will get smaller and smaller and smaller. The same thing applies to if you say, I have to prove to myself that my extroverted sensing is strong. So I keep overextending myself. I keep doing things which I know I won't be good at. So for example, trying to keep up with your ESTP coworker and being able to do as many tasks as him or her, just to prove to yourself that first off, you can take a lot, you have a lot of energy, just to prove to yourself that you can keep up and that there's nothing wrong with you. Accept the fact that your extroverted sensing is limited, and then apply it in a way which makes you move forward. It will be in a slow capacity, it will be about consistent progress, but it'll go in your direction. And it has to be in a balanced way where you know it's not as strong as you might hope, but that's okay. You still have to use what you have, because leaning into other people's extroverted sensing will also lead to burnout, because it puts you on a trajectory that continuously depletes your energy. Remedy number 2, forgive and change your perspective. This is also something that is really hard for us. You might say, oh, but I as an INFJ, I forgive all the time. I always try to see it from another person's perspective. So why is that even a point? Well, because it's a misinterpretation of what forgiveness is really about. It's not about understanding where the other person is coming from. We can do this great, but when we do this very often at our own expense. So you keep seeing things from perspective that keeps you staying at a low state energy. Yes, you understand why your coworkers are not listening to you, and you understand why it's totally okay not to want to follow you. All of that is clear to you, but the reality is when you keep on focusing on why it makes sense for others, you're depleting your own energy. It will lead to burnout, because again, you're trying to improve your energy by doing the most counterproductive thing, which is to focus on why others are doing things, how they want things to happen, and how you can adapt to it. The more you adapt away from your natural state, the less energy you have. The more you focus on your own preference, and then you start helping people through that by making sure that your energy is at the highest point possible, you avoid burnout and you create an energy overflow. That's why we always talk about we want that cup of energy that we have to be overflowing, and we give to others from what is overflowing. And with that, we have a continuing flow of energy that we first give to ourselves and then others. You can do so much more for others as well if you do it this way, and it will keep you away from burnout. So if we say thinking about why others are doing what they're doing and understanding where they're coming from, that this is different than forgiving, then what does forgiving really look like? Well, forgiving looks like that you say, how has it been for me? I allow myself to feel my emotions. So yes, I was thinking about that other person more than I was thinking about myself. And in a way, I'm mad about it. I allow myself to feel this. And I allow myself also to feel the fact that I may be mad at myself, that those feelings actually exist. But then I forgive. And I forgive from a perspective of I'm going down my path, I'm improving my energy flow, and in that, I forgive myself and others for all the ways that have happened so far that have kept me from going that direction. See, that's a completely different thing than to say I'm focusing on them and I'm trying to justify why it's okay for me to focus on that. right? We want you to focus on you, your path, forgive everything that happened, because in the end, if that didn't happen, you wouldn't have made the choices of switching over to your own lane. You wouldn't have had the motivation to actually change something about your life. And when you do this, you also change your perspective. And once you've tapped into this, there's no going back. So don't get me wrong. Yes, with time, we'll make more and more mistakes. It happens. But the base of I'm focusing on me and my preferences, that base gets bigger and bigger, and you get more confident in it. And you're so much more sure that this is the way, because with every single step, you recognize how your energy flow is just growing. And then we lean into the third remedy. And this is something that I mentioned before, which is lean more into action than in overthinking or thinking things through. Because there will always be a way to do it better. There will always be a way why it makes sense to overthink things, to find a better solution, to be a perfectionist, but you will not get to your end result. You will not get closer to it by thinking it. That is the thing that will keep you in burnout mode, because INFJ burnout happens from extending more energy than we're getting in. And so, yes, it all starts with an inspired thought, but as long as you keep on thinking and trying to find a reason why this won't work out, maybe if I go that direction, this will not get me to my end result. Other companies will also create problems for me. Whatever those thoughts are that are in your head that are keeping you from going in the next direction and creating a situation that will create more abundance from you. All of those thoughts keep you staying in that mode that you are right now. And if right now you're in a mode of I extend 40 points of energy and I get 30 in, the longer you stay in that mode, the less energy you'll have. Yes, and the first day you lose 10 points, but of course, after 10 days, you've spent 100 points and your cup of energy gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And of course, that will lead to faster burnout. But if you take action, you allow yourself to change your environment. You allow yourself to create more abundance. You allow yourself to shift things. So maybe, yes, in the beginning, it's gonna take you more energy to get out of that situation. So in our current example, just doing what I'm doing right now takes 40% of my energy and I get 30% in, and taking action will cost me 50% of energy. Yes, this might be, but if I do it in a way where I know my vision tells me that this could lead to more energy surplus. Yes, there might be problems somewhere. Yes, there might be things that you might like better, but taking that action gives you an opportunity to create a new dynamic and a new environment for yourself, which not only gives you 30 points of energy, but maybe 60 or even just 55. Even if it was 50, you will be at a better place than before, because yes, now you're extending 50 points and you get 50 back, which means your energy doesn't deplete more than it has before. When before it was I'm getting 30 in and I'm extending 40, and so your energy level gets smaller and smaller. So I really hope those 3 remedies helped you. Keep them in mind because they can change your life forever. It's all about consistent progress in your areas. Don't wait for your mind to work everything through. Accept your shortcomings, work with what you have, change your perspective into this is how it has worked for me and this is how it's going to work for me. Forgive others in the process. And the last thing, lean more into action than thoughts. Because yes, there are personality types who overact and they don't think things through and they do way too much and not move forward, but that's not where we're coming from. We're coming from that other direction. So leaning more into action will never be a bad thing as long as we do it in a consistent way in which we don't overextend ourselves. I really hope that helped you. Remember to check out the bootcamp. We have just a couple more days before we start. I'm really excited because the last one was such a success. And if you want to watch another video now that is in line with today's topic, then watch the video on the NITI loop, because this in itself is one of the things that makes us burn out really easily. Like always, guys, I wish you a wonderful day, a great week, and I talk to you next time. Bye.